I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Hello! Today I'm going to introduce a new word into the English language, Wikimerican. Wikimerican. I want to give some background information, some etymology, if you will, on this word. Obviously, the root of this word is the term wiki, as in Wikipedia, and I'm not trying to. I'm not disparaging Wikipedia, by the way. I think it's a great resource. I often use it as a starting point when I'm researching something. I hear a term, I'll go. First thing I'll do is go wiki the term and find out what it means from there. If it's important, I'll do further research, look for some primary sources. I do take points off of any student who uses Wikipedia as a primary source. I do discourage use for that, although I'd recommend it as a great starting point. So that being said, one of the criticisms of Wikipedia, and I think that they are probably going to fix this issue, or it will be at least dealt with in a way to make Wikipedia a even more important reference in the future. But is the fact that anybody can come in and edit an article. So anybody can go in, change something. If a word is defined, if a phrase is used, it can be changed by anybody. It's usually quickly corrected. That's one of the nice things about it as the system is evolving. But the point is that it can be altered. If you happen to look up the meaning of something one day, it may not be the meaning the next day. So I use the term Wikimerican. Here's a definition. A Wikimerican is somebody who allows words or terms or concepts to be redefined for them, meaning they will tell you the definition of something one day, and then when they hear a new definition, will change their definition and accept it blindly or seemingly blindly from moment to moment. I'm going to give some background information. A couple of weeks ago, before this election, we had a relative visiting, and the relative was somewhat surprised that we were voting for Obama, even though, well, the signs in the yard and the buttons and the banner and all of that might have been a slight hint that we were probably Democrats. But nonetheless, they were surprised because they said, well, I don't want our country to turn communist. And I was kind of taken aback thinking, our country turn communist? What do you mean? Well, they said, well, it disturbs me. He's a socialist. He wants to redistribute the wealth, was the term I believe that was used. And it struck me as really hilarious that socialist suddenly means communist. And when you read articles about this, because this wasn't in a vacuum. She got this from obviously outside sources, and you saw how this campaign was done. They redefined. First of all, they defined Obama as a socialist, when in reality he's a slightly left of center Democrat, and that's not very far by if you actually look at the political spectrum and the political compass and see where many politicians lie. What counts as a liberal Democrat today would have merged right into what would have been a Republican a few decades ago. So it's kind of interesting to say that he's actually so far to the left that he counts as a socialist is surprising in itself. But more important than that is the fact that the term socialist brings to mind in these people, from what I've inferred, these hardline Stalinist communist tanks rolling down the street, take away everybody's money, everybody living in drudgery, supporting those who don't work are being supported by those who want to work, and all of these images come to mind with it. When I find it really funny that, first of all, if it were true, if actually Obama was a socialist, none of those things would be relevant anyways. I mean, the reality of the world is that most Western nations are, to some degree, socialist. In fact, all of our allies are socialist, and I think that's, well, or actually even communist if you count China as an ally. But the point is that these countries have socialist governments, and they're our friends, and these people that are slamming Obama for being a socialist aren't looking at the fact that that all around the world we've got socialist nations that are prosperous and that, in fact, in many ways, doing better than we are. And I, but that's all aside. The point is, they let the term be redefined by a campaign. They let people make the term a dirty word. And this is a flashback to way back in the day. The first presidential election I voted in, I was old enough to vote in, was the Bush-Dukakis '88 election, and I was watching that debate. I watched that critical debate when the term liberal was redefined for us. It was Wikimerican for us. I was watching the debate, and Bush made the statement, Bush Sr., my opponent is a card-carrying member of the American Civil Liberties Union. He's a liberal. And we all kind of leaned forward, excited, thinking this is it. He's going to get smoked. And Dukakis started stammering and backpedaling and denying it, rather than saying, yeah, so what? I support civil liberties. I support the Constitution. What of it? Instead, he allowed the term to be redefined for not just him, but for all of us. Suddenly, liberal became a bad word. People who were liberals were denying that they were liberals. People who embodied every single definition of what a liberal used to be were still holding those ideals, but no longer calling themselves liberals or denying that they were. And that was sort of I'm sure it wasn't the start of it, but that was the first time it became noticeable to me that words can be slippery. Words that have concrete definitions can be at will redefined, and people will accept it. And every single time, no matter how many times I see it, when I see it being done, when I watch some news article or read online or anything, and I see a term being used, a word being used as a weapon, and I think to myself, those idiots, nobody is going to buy this. I mean, this is nowhere. And then, in the state of my denial, I go to work the next day, and I suddenly turn to my coworker, and they'll say something like, "Oh, did you know Obama's a socialist?" Or something like that. And it's like I can't believe it's like it worked overnight. It infiltrated people's mind, Jedi mind trick or something, and suddenly people are allowing this term to be used, or these new definition to be used, and they're using it around them. They're and I think that's kind of crazy. So anyway, I guess the message is when you hear any politician use a word as a weapon, use a term. I don't care if they're liberal. I'm not saying that this is not liberals versus conservatives or Republican versus Democrat. Any politician who uses a term like this, look it up. Look up the real definition. Get your dictionary out. Wikipedia it if that counts. Look it up and find out what it really means. And if they're not using it properly, call them on it. Write your senator, make a video, write a letter to the editor. And when you hear people around you using the term incorrectly, correct them on it. Make sure. Don't let it. We can't tolerate this. I mean, I think this country is slipping, and I'm sure that probably that's not an accurate description in the sense that it just seems that way. Like every generation seems that way. But nonetheless, it seems to me, it appears to me, that we're losing ground academically. And I'm gonna blame this. Part of it is that concrete terms, concrete definitions seem to have less and less meaning. They seem to be able to be redefined from moment to moment, and rather than questioning it, people are just regurgitating, spouting these terms back as per the new definition. So thank you. I'm not going to rant too much longer. I'm probably going to go over here. I don't want to. Thank you, and please comment, post. I'll just love to discuss this. Start using the word Wikimerican. Thank you.